All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today is November 27th, Missile Monday, and I have this article from The Guardian. And it says, why is the U.S. ramping up production of plutonium pits for nuclear weapons? So I'm just going to go into this article and bring out a few scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And it was published yesterday. And it says, on one side of the U.S., on New York's Staten Island, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers began this month to remove the radioactive remnants of Robert Oppenheimer's Manhattan Project that produced the atomic bombs that ended the Second World War. Meanwhile, 2,000 miles away at the Los Alamos National Laboratory north of Santa Fe, New Mexico, on on the same site that developed and assembled the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, work is being ramped up to produce plutonium pits, spherical shells about the size of bowling balls that are a vital component of warheads in the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Says both in their own way tell the story of the nuclear age, but one is historic housekeeping. In 1939, 1,200 tons of high-grade uranium ore was purchased and transferred from the Belgian Congo to Staten Island, where there are still traces of radioactive contamination, and the other is far more controversial and very current. Both arrive as concern over a conflict involving the use of nuclear weapons rises, increasing geopolitical tensions with Russia and a military expansionist China are behind $1.5 trillion effort to modernize the U.S. nuclear arsenal, including tens of billions of dollars to replace aging silo-launched Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles stationed in Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota with a successor, the Sentinel. But the prospect of placing new missiles with potentially more warheads in the U.S. heartlands is under scrutiny for its logic. Why plant $100 billion nuclear kick-me sign on the country's bread basket, as the authors of a report in Scientific American this month? For 2 decades, the Pentagon and Congress have been concerned about the U.S. ability to produce the cores of nuclear warheads, including the plutonium pits. Since 1989, the U.S. has not been able to produce pits in quantities required to refresh or renew a stockpile of 3,708 warheads. About 1,770 warheads are deployed and 1,938 are held in reserve. The issue is that plutonium degrades over time, but estimates vary on how quickly or at what point the pits become too soft to be usable. Most are already 40 plus years old, but some studies say that they could be up to 80. The Livermore Lab in Northern California announced in 2012 that it had found no unexpected aging issues, and plutonium that had been accelerated to an equivalent of 150 years. In 2018, the National Nuclear Security Administration produced a plan to meet the Defense Department's goal of 80 pits a year by maximizing production lines at Los Alamos and converting a plant near the Savannah River in South Carolina, originally built to dispose of 34 tons of Cold War era plutonium deemed unneeded by nuclear weapons programs, but the project was unsuccessful and canceled in 2020. According to the Scientific American report, the first 800 new pits will go to the Sentinel program, and then all 1,900 U.S. submarine-launched missiles will be refreshed. The new warheads would also be shock-resistant or insensitive to accidental detonation that could disperse plutonium. And, again, this particular, part right here that's going into Joel 2, like once these missiles are launched, nothing is going to stop them. There won't be any, as they said, accidental detonations. Once these missiles are launched, they're going to hit their target. Nothing, no defense system, no counter missiles are going to be able to shoot any missiles down that are intended to hit America. But, various parts of the world will still get hit as well. So I'm just going to finish. It says, but there is now no pit production expertise at the South Carolina facility, and cost estimates have already grown from 3.6 billion to over 11 billion for a third fewer pits. In January, the Government Accounting Office, GAO, warned that the NNSA's plutonium modernization program had not developed either a comprehensive schedule or cost estimate that meets GAO best practices. Questions over U.S. nuclear weapons re-entered public conscience, with Russia posturing over the use of battlefield nuclear weapons in Ukraine, then the overflight of a Chinese spy balloon close to areas critical in U.S. nuclear deterrence in January. It's not just practical obstacles, though. In September, the U.S. Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that the worrisome new arms race is brewing. The number of nuclear weapons could rise for the first time in decades. Over the summer, a biopic of Robert Oppenheimer was released that touched the anxieties the physicists experience over the development of the nuclear bomb and its use on Japan. Those anxieties resurfaced in recent weeks when a since reprimanded Israeli minister speculated on dropping a nuclear bomb on Gaza, and the development of an 18,000-ton Ohio-class nuclear submarine to the Mediterranean. Last week, Green Party presidential hopeful Jill Stein warned that U.S. leaders are absolutely risking the possibility of nuclear war in its support of Israel after sending the sub and missile groups to the region. We're not at nuclear war now, but could a nuclear war be triggered? Absolutely. And we're seeing this become more dangerous every day, Steen told Newsweek. So yeah, these nations they're ready for war, man. These nations are ready for war. This is why you have, nations such as Russia, Iran, North Korea, France, testing their nuclear weapons, because at the end of the day, that's going to be Esau Edom's last resort, is to launch these missiles, which, ultimately World War III is going to be, it's like you're a little excited. Ultimately, World War III will be between Russia and America, the bear, Gog and Magog versus Babylon, and it's prophesied that Babylon is going to be taken down by the bear, which again is Russia. It's prophesied that Babylon will be destroyed by fire, So the U.S. can do whatever they want. They can invest in, like they did a few months ago, in their defense system. They can develop whatever defense system they want. They can, even upgrade, their weaponry. Ultimately, none of it is going to stop that destruction from taking place, So let me see. It's not much left. I'm just going to read the rest of it. It says the U.S. spends about 5% of its military budget on nuclear weapons. Last year, the Biden administration threw its weight behind the sprucing up of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Much of the stockpile has aged without comprehensive refurbishment. It said in a long-awaited nuclear posture review. At a time of rising nuclear risks, a partial refurbishment strategy no longer serves our interests. Says Frank N. von Hippel, a U.S. physicist and co-director of the program on science and global security at Princeton University, says the effort to manufacture new plutonium pits might be justified if a crisis existed, but without a firm understanding of how long plutonium pits take to degrade, the effort and cost to restart production may be unnecessary. Many of us thought the problem on nuclear weapons was over at the end of the Cold War. I remember a strategic air command officer saying we are on a glide path, but we are not on a glide path anymore, von Hippel said. Fears of nuclear conflict, with its identifiable symbol of a doomsday mushroom cloud, have largely been replaced by fears over the observable climate crisis, he says, but they may now be returning. Says nuclear war is a probability thing, and it's been 80 years, a lifetime, since we had one to deal with, von Hippel says. So people have amused the probability was close to zero, which isn't unfortunately. But yeah, man, they're pretty much, again, they're trying to upgrade their nuclear weaponry, but again, nothing is going to stop the destruction of America, because again, it is prophesied that Babylon will be taken down. So I'm going to start in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54 and verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. And yes, again, that waster going back to those nuclear missiles, and that smith being the scientists, these physicists that are developing these nuclear weapons, because again, every single one of these weapons that are being created is going to be used, all of them, they're not going to spare any of these missiles once, this war officially kicks off. And at that final moment, all of these weapons are going to be used, So let me see. I'm going to go to Jeremiah chapter 50. No, Slakia 51. This is Jeremiah 51:1. And it says, "Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land, for the day of trouble they shall be against her round about." So yeah, even America's allies are ultimately going to turn on her, because again, these nations are angry because, as we know, America is pretty much backing those Israelis, because they're pretty much going to, get this war started, so, which again, is like one brother in particular, it says to keep, our eyes on that region because again, the land of Israel in this current time is playing or is going to play a major part in this Third World War, So let me grab that. This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 45. And it says, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he has purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." So yeah, the people in that land, they're ultimately going to get this war started, because again, they're the least of the flock, because again, that land over there and the people that are over there, are ultimately going to get the U.S. and Russia, involved in this war, because again, Russia has a lot of allies over in that region, So I'm going to get that in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38. And it says, this is the book of Ezekiel 38:1. And it says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. And yes, Russia has a lot of allies over in the east, and that was just to name a couple, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, but all of the UAE, all of those Arab nations, Russia is allies with, and as the Israelis, they are at war with, the modern day Palestinians, I'll say, because the ancient Palestinians, those Arabs, which are the Ishmaelites, they're not the original Palestinians, the original Palestinians are, Hamites, so-called Africans. But, both of those nations of people, Amalek and Ishmael, they're both fighting over a land that isn't theirs. That's just proof that, those so-called Israelis aren't, the Israelites, because if they were the people, there wouldn't be, war in that land. There wouldn't be war in general. These nations wouldn't have weapons, because all of the other nations would be in subjection to the nation of Israel, and it says that the nation of Israel would dwell, safely. But clearly those people aren't dwelling safely, It's like, yeah. So let me see. I want to get the book of Joel, chapter 2. And verse 1. And it says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. Yeah, you still have parts of America that are beautiful, but once those missiles are launched, it's gonna completely destroy, this land. It's gonna sweep this land, that wall of fire, because once those missiles detonate, it's then gonna create that huge explosion, which is then gonna create that mushroom cloud. That mushroom cloud is then, or the detonation, better yet, from that missile is also going to bring about that wall of fire that's going to sweep through America, because there's going to be so many missiles that are going to hit this place, 200,000 going back to Revelation 9, there's going to be a lot. So this is verse 4. It says, the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained, or their faces shall gather blackness. So yeah, everyone that's still left here on the soils of America, they're going to see, that pretty much make it up until that point, they're going to see these missiles coming, and there's nothing they're going to be able to do. Only the elect of the nation of Israel will be delivered from that destruction, but everyone else, they're going to be left here to feel the Lord's wrath. Verse 7, they shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march everyone on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone on his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. And again, just like I said in the article, pretty much there won't be any accidental, detonations, and it's going to be that same way once those missiles are launched. One missile isn't going to hit another one, or one missile isn't, going to fly in the air, and, that's not going to happen. It's like, even if they try to shoot one down, it's just going to bounce right off of it, and it's going to keep going, because again, these missiles serve a purpose, ultimately to destroy America, Babylon the Great, take down Esau, Edom, and, also to cleanse the earth, because again, that fire is going to cleanse the earth, that smoke as well, because Esau, Edom he's polluted this earth, And let me see. So yeah, that's pretty much going into that. I could read the last couple of verses because they're good too, but I pretty much have the point. Let going to end it on this is the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 1. And it says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, said the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." So yeah, once Esau Edom is taken down, he'll never come back into power again, and not that madness that Bishop Nathaniel was talking about after 1,000 years, no. This is Esau Edom's last hoorah, so to speak, After this, this current rulership, that's it, he's going down and he's not coming back. And the power after that, So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, and Kakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect.